Scottish Football Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this special bonus edition of the Scottish Football Podcast with me, Stephen Thompson. Today we are going to be focusing on the new Scotland manager, Sébastien Pocognoli, and I'm joined by Scotland pin-up, James McFadden, and the omniscient Tom English. Tom, you were at the press conference this morning. The new manager was unveiled. Give us a wee bit of background on him and what was your first impressions of him?
Well, he's 39 years of age. Bear in mind, Steve Clarke was 55, I think, when he got appointed. 39 makes him probably the youngest international manager in the world, bar countries like Singapore. Right. Incredibly young. He has 2 seasons in management, so he's incredibly inexperienced. 1 season with Union Saint-Gilloise, where he won the league, he won a cup, he won Manager of the Year, 24, 25, got a move to Monaco, where he was sacked. Did okay.
You're concerned about all of that.
Well, no, I'm just giving you what he is. Right. A bit of background. It's 107 games as a manager. It's not a lot, albeit the bulk of those games were in winning USG's first league title in 90 years.
So that's good.
So that's very good. Talking to him, like I had 11 minutes with him. What can you
Was he
ask?
asleep?
Did you have to wake him back up?
Listen. I'm just here to give you information. You're here to crack the joke. Okay, fine. I understand my role in this operation. He comes across as a very serious guy. Focused. He talks about integrity. He talks about personality in terms of his players, in terms of his game plan.
Did you believe him? You know, sometimes you hear a manager speak, or somebody speak, and you go, "Sounds good," but is it one of them?
But no, I do believe him. But the whole question is, we don't have a lot to go on.
Yeah,
we've got 107 games here, right? So that's not a lot of sample size. You look at Steve Clarke. I mean, it was a massive body of work there. You could look at Steve Clarke to assess.
So do you think there's a risk element from the SFA point of view?
It's a massive gamble, but in the piece I wrote, it's a gamble I'm glad they've taken.
Yeah, I'm glad.
You know, I think it's ambitious. It is a gamble. Now, they say all these appointments are gambles. Absolutely. This is a huge gamble. Yeah. Like, it's 107 games, right? 2 seasons in management. Of course it is. But I'm quite excited by it.
I'm surprised.
It's something new,
I'm surprised they've actually been brave.
So have I. So am I.
Really?
I'm really surprised.
No, maybe there was a Scottish manager available or somebody that ticked the boxes that they wanted. You know, that's maybe.
I know, but I still expected it to be
something you
safer.
No.
Safer, and I'm glad that they've actually taken a gamble. Every appointment's a gamble, but I think that this has come from absolutely nowhere, and I like it.
What are you hoping that he brings that's different from probably the Steve Clarke era? I mean, he was incredibly successful.
I mean,
Steve Clarke.
I'm not looking for a whole lot different, if I'm being honest. I know that people, there was criticism of Steve Clarke, particularly, well, mostly at the tournaments, if not all, being, performances at tournaments. But I just think Steve Clarke done an unbelievable job as
So would you say to the new manager not to change too much about going in to the new setup, or do you think he will be?
I mean, it's up to him what he does.
I know, but just keep elements of the Steve Clarke,
Well,
regime.
I don't think there's a lot wrong. It's not a rebuild. I think there's parallels in a sense of when Craig Brown left the job and Bertie Vogts came in, because it's someone that's coming in off the back of success, relative success. Then it's a new, bold appointment that has to bring something a bit new, but the Bertie Vogts era was a total rebuild because most of that group retired. They were all far.
Bertie was very generous in giving caps out to average players.
Yeah, he was.
Quite a lot from
but in that sense, no. You were doing it in Scotland in the Premier League, so you were performing. There was players that with trials for Scotland.
I know.
We had actual trials, and there was a lot of players that were used that were used for the purpose, and Bertie was brave enough to do it, and maybe he was the only guy that was ever going to do it at that point, where bring them in, have a look at them, not good enough, see you later. I don't think there's clearly not the same. I think there's a continuation here, but there is a chance for him to come in, Pocognoli, with fresh ideas, to give players opportunities. That the squad's been together for a number of years, and it's understandable, and I think it's the right way to go, so that you've got that trust in the group, you've got that continuity,
Well,
and
that's
you're
a big
on the back
thing, though,
of
isn't it? I
success.
mean, the Steve Clarke era was built on the kind of togetherness of that squad of players. You would imagine a few of those players won't be showing the same loyalty by a new manager.
Oh, well, you'd hope so. I mean, it's the loyalties to the country rather than the manager, surely. And they're all good professionals. I would hope that they would all weigh in behind him. I think he's going to be different. If you look at what he's done in his brief stint as a manager and all the interviews that he has done, including today, he wants to get defenders higher up the pitch. He wants high intensity. He wants a relentless press. I think it would look different. His optimum would look different to Clarke. I think it will be more front foot. He kept on saying front foot. Front foot defence, front foot attack. So I think he will be more risk taking in the way he wants to set the team
Are
up.
we good enough to be that risk team?
Well, we're going to find out.
Defensively?
We're going to find out because let's face it, even if we don't know if he's going to work out or not, but this is what people want. This is what the Tartan Army want. They want an ambitious appointment, young, new ideas, different. They've got different.
I don't see why we can't be front-footed, aggressive, go and press.
Definitely got good players.
So I know that you're looking at the back, but I think when you concede you're conceding chances, everybody looks at the back line, but especially now, you go and press a team, you're aggressive, you can suffocate teams and stop them from playing out.
Did he say what his target was? Did you ask him what his target was?
I asked him what his success looked like, and he said there's three kind of forms of success. There's results, which is the primary.
Yeah.
There's entertaining style of football, which he really wants. And then he talked about bringing through young players, giving younger Scottish players an opportunity. So there's like three strands of success the way he sees it. I think his whole story is interesting, and the story of USG is interesting, both in the fact that USG were getting there before he arrived. Yes, it was the first title in 90 years, but it didn't drop out of the sky. There were 3 or 4 managers there before him who got him to the brink of winning the Belgian league, and he was the one who got them over the line. USG, obviously, Jamestown Analytics Club. You look at the 4 managers that were there, the 3 managers that were there before him: Felice Mazou, Carol Gerrards, Alexander Blessin, and Pocognoli himself. All 4 left, all 4 failed in their next job or jobs. So is it the Jamestown Analytics system or is it the manager? So that is one of the big questions around him. Clearly he's a talented manager because he wouldn't have been able to do what he did in Belgium if he wasn't. But how much of it was Jamestown giving the players, the previous managers that created the culture there? That remains to be seen.
But is that a case of getting the best out of what was there?
For sure.
And then going somewhere else, and you don't have that analytical background to bring the players in, which that's the case with international. You've got the players you have, you make them better, you put them in a system that works. He must have looked at the young players that we have coming through and said, right, I think
do you fancy the squad to be looking a lot different when he names it for the Slovenia game?
I don't think it'll be massively different. I don't think it needs to be. Robbie Ewer.
Robbie Ewer's
for Sevilla. Potentially would have been anyway. I think that people looked at the World Cup squad and Steve Clarke's tenure where he liked to keep that core and maybe wasn't as open to bringing in a lot of new faces.
Well, that was one criticism. But
I get that for the World Cup because you've got to this stage where I'm not saying you be too loyal to the full squad, but that squad's together. You keep that preparation that builds over months. It's not just the preparation going into the game. I understand that maybe Steve Clarke would have looked at Robbie Ewer anyway, but I think that certainly moving to Sevilla, the season he's had or was having in Sweden would suggest that he'd be there. Bowie comes into the reckoning as well because it's a position we need strength. Does he then, I know we've had this conversation before, does he then look at an Ollie McBurney who had a fantastic season last season? I know he's no young, but that's definitely a problem.
It's not going to be easy for him, is it though? Because think about it, how long will they have when they meet up before the Slovenia game?
Yeah, it's tough.
4 or 5 days. And you've got to meet a bunch of new players, implement your ideas. You've got 4 days before an actual international game. That is not easy. It's going to be a time.
But the fun side of that, Tom, is you've got 4 games in such quick succession that as much as it's tough for the first game, you keep reinforcing that message. You get the performance on the pitch, hopefully, and then it's all about building towards the Euros.
It's an intense period, isn't it, coming up? So he's got 6 between the end of September and mid-November. He's got 6 games.
Yeah.
Now people are going to make up their mind about him after 6 games. Is that too intense, or is it going to give him a proper chance to work
over
with
those
these
6
guys?
games?
If everybody's available.
How much time is he going to have on the training pitch?
Not
for
much.
him? You know,
You don't
like,
get much. You don't get much,
couple of
and
weeks,
that's why
max.
it does take
it's a
time.
hard
I think
gig.
there
And
has
he's not
to
done
be,
that before.
No.
You know,
There has to be a level of patience because it is somebody new, and he's going to come in with his own ideas. He's going to have to try and get them across as quick as you can, and it is difficult in international football because if you've got a game on a Thursday and half the squad have played on Sunday, they're not training till Wednesday. And then when you go and train on Wednesday, you actually can't put a lot in, so it might have to be a lot of video and trying to reinforce the message. But other people will be looking at it and saying, well, they're international players, they should be able to take on instruction. Some people like to get that on the grass and make sure that they're getting a point across.
See, what I thought the SFA were going to do is that they were going to get a manager quite experienced in international football, a guy who had maybe overachieved with a country.
no.
You know, like a Murat Yakin or someone. They were never going to get him, the Switzerland coach. But he's that type of profile of manager, gone into a good team in Switzerland, but has overachieved with Switzerland. They haven't. Like, this is a total high wire act. Not only is he a very, very young manager, he's never coached international football before.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, there's no safety
There's
net
lots to
here.
talk about.
He did the youth teams, but it's different.
Yeah, exactly. He did. He did youth. He did Belgian youth. He did USG youth as well. So he's done a lot of underage coaching, but he's 107 games. It's not a lot to go on. But to be honest with you, I asked him about that. I asked him the fact he's only 39 and he was the youngest. And you look at the age profile of most of the coaches in the World Cup, most of them are in their 50s. 11 of them were in their 60s and 5 of them were in their 70s. A lot of these are gnarled old boys that have been around.
How many of them lost their jobs, though?
I'd say quite a few. But like the age, he said, well, you know what? He said, I became manager of USG when I was 37. And people said the same thing about me then. Yeah. And he won the league and he won the cup.
The age thing doesn't bother me. Does it bother you?
Yeah.
No, I think that you've got to trust the process. As I said, I'm surprised that that's the route they've gone down. But clearly he's impressed them enough to go
How
and
important do
give
you
him the
reckon
job.
it is that he gets the likes of John McGinn and Andy Robertson kind of under his wing, to kind of integrate him into the squad? You know what I mean?
I think it's always important when you go into any job, whether it's international, club, it's important. Know that you bow to the experienced players, but you have to use them. You have to get them, in line with what you're thinking, because it's such a massive part of the game. You see a lot of young coaches that I think can be a bit precious and a bit naive to say, I would rather get the older players out of the way so that I can have my impression on the younger players. I think they're so important to get your message across, that you've got the experienced players on side. And you've got 2 players there that have been massive for the country for a number of years. They're chasing cap records. Yeah. They're desperate to be involved. So I think it's hugely important. But you've got a full squad to impress, because it's not just about McGinn and Robertson. You've got a strong group there that have been together for a long time.
I got, again, standing with him for all of 11 minutes. It's a bit longer than that, but because he did a top table before he actually came and did a one-on-one. He's again 39, but he looks older. He looks
How long we looking older than what you are, Tom? No, as lucky as Tom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, who is in life? But he looks like a guy who's been around, and he's played over 300 league games, 350 league games in different countries, including England. He's played 13
times. Did he carry himself? Like
he did.
Yeah,
he did.
You're buying into him?
He has I am. He had 13 caps for Belgium. Okay, it was 13. And he has a kind of ruggedness about him as well. Like, he's not a guy I'd mess with. Yeah, okay. To be honest, I mean, I'm saying he's like a intense, scary dude, but he certainly has a serious, very serious
aura about him.
I wouldn't say aura, but I'd say if you crossed him, you'd come off second best.
You would, yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I would. There's most people in life.
You fancy your chances, wouldn't you? You'd be swinging
run a mile.
the big windmill getting in there.
At least I would front up. He'd just bolt it, wouldn't he? He'd just run.
Nah, he'd go.
It's going to be dead interesting, actually. These games are only, just over a month away?
Yeah.
It's exciting times, I think.
How do you think we're looking then going into this group? Obviously, Slovenia, Switzerland, North Macedonia, and then we play Slovenia again. Do you fancy us to top that group?
We should be looking to.
Aye, that's what I'm thinking.
Definitely. I think that I know the disappointment is always, how we performed at World Cup. I don't think it was as bad as people maybe thought, although the results would tell you different. I didn't think it was the same as Germany. I thought it was slightly different, although the outcome was the same.
So that's got to be his aim. He's got to try and get us, to a major tournament, which we should qualify for the Euros.
Well, I think Scotland are, I think it's easy. It's easy to get to the next Euros, but it is
we're
easy.
almost guaranteed to be.
Yeah, it's very, very close.
His kind of remit has got to be take us to the knockouts, surely. That's it, really.
Well, if you look at the group, right? So Slovenia, okay. Scotland on their day should beat Slovenia. I think they're a better team than Slovenia. I think they're definitely a better team than North Macedonia. Switzerland are a better team than Scotland.
That'll be tough, yeah.
They have done things that Scotland have not done. Yeah. And they've done them recently. So that's I think that's I'm not taking the other two for granted. I'm far from
Slovenia will be tough.
Yeah, it will. Look, all the games will be tough, but I think Scotland...
Denmark should have beat us. They should have topped the group, they didn't.
Yeah.
So I think that they're a good side, absolutely, but we should be looking to win that group. And I know there's going to be probably a big change, but I think that the change will be a positive.
How quickly, like you guys, I mean, what I know, but you guys, a new manager comes in, and clearly his view of playing the game is different to Steve Clarke. How quickly can you get your ideas working, up and running with players?
I think, he plays... He likes to play a back three, which the players are comfortable. They know how to play it. He's going to ask them to be aggressive in the press, aggressive with and without the ball. What player doesn't want to hear that? So I think that you could get a good instant reaction for the players, but it's like a new player comes into your team. Straight away, as soon as he walks in the door, you're judging him. The players are going to be looking at managers as soon as they see him and go. They'll be watching other interviews. I dare say that the experienced ones have already spoken to him. They'll be judging him straight away. And if he comes in and makes a good impression, like he did on you, then you'll get that reaction. A little bit of freshness. As much as they were all devastated, with Steve Clarke leaving because of what he did and what he achieved, it'll be exciting. A different challenge for him. I think they'll be meeting up with excitement.
Do you think it was the right time to Steve Clarke to go? Do you think it had gotten a bit kind of stale, or? Yeah,
I think absolutely it was the right time. Absolutely, it was the right time. The World Cup didn't pan out the way people hoped it. Although you would, and I would argue that they did exactly what you expected them to do.
Yeah,
they won the game.
Down as the most successful Scotland manager.
Yeah. Look, three and there was Steve Clarke and his team brought the Tartan Army over to America to have one of the times of their lives, right? So the football itself was disappointing, but definitely he's there a long time. He was there a long time. You got to change. You can't stay there forever. Yeah. I'm glad there was a change. I'm glad he stepped back. I'm
glad the fact he stepped back tells you that it may well have been the right time, because we know how fiery he is, we know how strong a character he is. He's obviously thought, I've had enough, which means it probably does feel a bit right.
You didn't, I'm trying to get my chronology, and I'm pretty sure I'm getting it kind of spectacularly wrong. Kevin Morelos, you never played with him, did you? No, because it looks like he would be coming in as his assistant.
Yeah, so
he's a long-term pal and assistant.
Anyway.
Do you think he'll keep it?
You better hope you're right.
I'm terrible at that.
You better hope you're right.
I'm so bad at that.
I don't
remembering.
I might have, but
do you think you'll keep any of the current staff? Stephen Naismith was mentioned.
There was no sense of that, like that one way or another. I think he'll definitely want to keep. I'd say he'll want to keep Naismith. I think he'll want to keep people who can tell him about players. And
Morales might have played together.
Right, okay.
Surely
so maybe a reconnection.
For me, I hope he keeps Naismith. I think he's a good sounding board. He knows all the players. He'll be able to teach him, tell him a lot. Total sense. Yeah.
I think he'll either keep him or he'll get the 21 show. He definitely will be part of the setup.
I hope so.
In some capacity.
Right, Tom, it says on this running order here that you've got a quiz for us.
Oh, I do, yeah. For you too. Thankfully, I'm the quiz master.
Palpable.
I want both of you. to name the last 10 Scotland managers.
I can read your paper.
All right, okay.
Right,
See if it's okay.
Andy Roxburgh.
That is correct.
Why don't you go back in order?
They're coming into my head. You're not allowed to Google.
I'm looking at Kevin Morales to see if I played with him.
He's at it. Right, wait a
I
minute.
think
Go
we can
backwards.
have
Okay,
Come
so
on.
well, Steve
Alex
Clarke.
McLeish,
That is correct.
Alex
It's amazing you got that one.
Walter Smith,
Yep.
George Burley,
Yep.
Craig Levein,
Yep.
Yes.
Bertie Vogts, Craig Brown, Andy Roxburgh, Alex Ferguson, Jock Stein.
You're good at this.
No, hang on.
He must have done it.
Well, you go back too far there. You missed one, I think. The last 10.
Burley. Did you say Burley?
You did.
Aye.
Jock Stein wasn't in the last 10.
Yeah, who's this?
So Alex Ferguson's the 10th last.
Alex Ferguson wasn't either. Now we're counting Alex McLeish twice for his 2 spells.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 2.
Andy Roxburgh, Craig Brown.
Roxburgh, who you've got? You've got Roxburgh, Brown, Vokes, Smith, McLeish, Burley, Levein, McLeish again, Steve Clarke. You're missing one.
I'm rubbish at these things. You got any ideas?
Clearly.
What?
If I get any ideas, I've just went back in order. So before Roxburgh or after Roxburgh?
I'm not telling you.
Who was in there then?
No, because it was Craig Brown after Andy Roxburgh. Was it?
Ali McLeod.
Come on, Tom.
What are you laughing at?
I'm Irish, and even I know that goes way back. Too far.
Jock Stein's too far.
Okay, your time is
Right.
up, boys. This is embarrassing. Your time is up.
Right,
I'm
give us
calling-
it in.
I was supposed to call time about a minute ago. I gave you extra time, and you still
interim
failed.
managers, no? Full permanent managers.
Permanent manager.
Right, wait till we do it again.
No, you can't do it again. Your time is up.
McLeish, Walter Smith, somebody in between. Gordon Strang.
Oh, well done.
Well done. Only 2 minutes late. 3
Well,
minutes
he got
late,
it.
maybe.
He got it.
Yeah, you never put a time
Yeah,
on
but
it.
that's like scoring a winning goal when everyone's walked off the pitch, including the referee.
Key point, winning goal there.
Yeah,
Something you've never
no,
done.
in your own
If it's
head.
winning, it counts.
No, in your own head is the winning
Come
goal.
on, I got
Everybody's
it.
left
Well
the
done,
stadium.
Tomo, anyway, you look good.
I got the first one. Right, anyway, we'll need to wrap it. That's all we get time for. Thanks to James, obviously, and to Tom, and thank you very much for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. See you later.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
Sir Alex Ferguson is the most successful British manager of all time.
Nobody is above him or this football club.
So how did an apprentice toolmaker from Glasgow become one of the most iconic figures in sporting history?
His strength of character, his determination, the fight in him.
He can be persuasive, he can be charming, he can be frightening.
I'm Kelly Cates, and this is Sporting Giants Sir Alex Ferguson.
I didn't want to feel, I couldn't feel.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
The dust has settled, and how are we feeling about the new Scotland boss? Who is hot and who is not in the Championship? And are Hamilton back on the road to recovery? Hello, I'm Andy Burke, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Tuesday the 18th of August. And we've had a glimpse of Sébastien Pocognoli's Scotland vision.
Front foot defending, front foot attacking, just play with a big heart, run more than the opponent, and create chance and give some good vibes and energy in the stadium.
Now we're all over the initial surprise. What do we make of the Belgians' plans? And who is up and who is down among the Championship teams?
And I'm running out of words to describe, what this team are actually giving me. But today, as I said to them, I have to go and enjoy it. Obviously, they've all got work tomorrow, so just go in with a sore head, because these moments don't come along all the time in football.
Are Stenhousemuir going to be a surprise package? Plus, we'll go into Leagues 1 and 2 to see if there's a reset at Ross County.
What we have to do is we have to reset our culture, and we have to reset what we're about as a football club, how we want to play the game, how we want to approach life off the pitch, how we want to commit to an area.
Everything you need to know right here.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Good morning. Great to have your company. Also delighted to be joined by Ryan Flynn, our Broth midfielder. Ryan, how are you getting on this morning?
Very well, thank you.
And Craig Telfer, our View from the Terrace presenter. How are you getting on, Craig?
Great stuff, Andy. Good to be here. Good to see you.
Great to have you in such magnificent audio quality. I should, full disclosure for the listeners, I've had a technical nightmare this morning. My microphone wasn't working, but Craig, you're the ultimate pro. You're there with your headphones, your mic, and sounding absolutely fantastic. Looking terrific as well, I've got to say.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I don't think anyone will be able to see this, but it's good to know the listeners are reassured that I look okay this morning. So thank you very much, Andy.
I can assure them of that. Right, guys, let's start with a new Scotland manager, Sébastien Pocognoli. Craig, this was a little bit of a left field one. The news started leaking out into the media, and of course all of us are then scrambling to swat up on this guy. I don't think too many of us were overly familiar with his work, but a bit of a bold move from the SFA, you've got to say.
Yeah, certainly. You weren't the only person that wasn't familiar with Pocognoli. I'd never heard of him, to be honest. But I think it's the kind of left field appointment that Scotland needed. I think that after Steve Clarke left and you're going through the names that might be linked with the job, none of the more obvious candidates seemed all that appealing. And when there was talk of Stephen Naismith taking the job and basically being a continuity candidate, I think that people wanted a change. I think that's something we really need. We wanted a change. We had a really good time under Steve Clarke, but unfortunately the tenure was pockmarked with the failure at back-to-back tournaments, and I think we wanted something different, and this certainly is something different. I watched his interview with the Scottish FA, which published yesterday on their YouTube channel. Certainly talks a good game, certainly says all the right things, all the things as a fan I want to hear from him, and I'm just really interested to see how he approaches the Nations League games, what players he decides to call up, what players he decides to move on. I think we're in a really transitional period with the Scotland national team after the World Cup, and I'm really, really keen to see what the future holds for us and what Pocognoli can do for us.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating one, isn't it, Ryan? As Craig says, the Scotland fans have been crying out for something different, and as Craig says, this is pretty different. It looks pretty imaginative, of course. There's appointments that seem quite imaginative and don't particularly pan out. We hope this is one that the SFA have got right to take Scotland in a bit of a different direction.
I think it definitely appeases us as supporters. I think the overall crying out for change, and it is definitely change. I do have a little bit of trepidation about it. I mean, he's such a young manager taking such a big role, just over 100 games as a manager. I mean, it's early days in his career to have he's going to have massive pressure. I mean, it seems we're very optimistic just now. We're all praising the SFA for this left field appointment. I don't want to be the doom and gloom. It's just like the Nation League starts, a couple of bad results. Are we going to be straight onto a young manager early in his career? Obviously, he was outstanding in his first full season as manager, winning that league in Belgium. A 7th finish with Monaco. I mean, it's a 2-year deal. He's going to be doubling his career as a manager if he sees out the contract at Scotland. I just feel it's a lot of optimism now. Can we just, if it's going to be change, I mean, I don't think it's just going to be change between the top of Scottish football. There's going to be change with other managers throughout the SFA are making changes. So we need success at the top. Success is now qualifying for major competitions. I just feel it's massive pressure for such a young manager, but hopefully it's the right appointment. And hopefully there's more, I would say, links between the setups as well, moving forward with the national team to the 21s and down. Because I just think back to Finlay Curtis not being in the 21 squad just before Christmas. After March, he's now in the full national setup. I just feel it's a bit odd. Hopefully things are linked up a little bit better, but it's exciting times, a lot of change. It's probably needed, and it's getting delivered now. So hopefully we're moving forward as a nation.
Yeah, it's the best time for a football fan after a managerial appointment, Craig. The appointment's made, the first press conference, and you've not to play a game yet. This is when you can get excited.
I suppose this is the time you get excited because, as Ryan said, we've got the Nations League games coming up. After being relegated from Pot A to Pot B. Pot B, or sort of Group B, that's probably where Scotland are at the moment. I don't think we're quite good enough to be playing against the top teams, so Group B's are the right place for us. We've got Switzerland, who are just like, they're a good side. They regularly qualify for tournaments. I think that's the kind of nation Scotland should aspire to be like. And Slovenia and North Macedonia. So it's presentable that these Nations League group games. And on top of that, you've got the Euro 2028 coming up. It's been one of the host nations. You have to have an absolute disaster not to qualify for it. So we do certainly.
Can I just say, Craig, I hate when people say that, because if there's one nation on earth that is capable of threading that needle, it is Scotland.
This needle is even too thin for us to even thread. It's too ideal to have a disaster. So this is the exciting time. This is the exciting time, and you're thinking, we don't have a massive pool of players that we can pick from, but I think that there's probably a clamour to get Robbie Ewer into the national team, after he's just moved to Sevilla. That's really, really exciting to see a Scottish player playing at such a high-profile club in such an exciting division. So that's it. It just feels like we can look to the future now. Steve Clarke I think history will be very, very, very kind to Steve Clarke. Best Scotland manager in my lifetime. Give me some of the best nights that I've ever, not just as a football supporter, but genuinely some of the best nights in my life. Like when we beat Denmark, for instance. Just incredible. But thank you very much for that. It's time to move on. And the future, I'm really excited with what it holds.
How easy will it be, Ryan, to implement this new style? Pocognoli says he wants front foot football from Scotland, which, again, this is music to the ears of Scotland fans, but saying it and doing it are two very different things, and I would imagine Steve Clarke would have been watching and listening yesterday's press conference and thinking, right, okay, that sounds great, but maybe see how easy it is to implement a front foot style on the international stage with the options that Scotland have got. I mean, this is a big job to kind of change the style and mentality of a team that have become used to a pretty pragmatic approach under Steve Clarke.
It was pragmatic. It was successful to a degree, obviously qualifying for the major tournaments. But I think you've got top players in there. Top players that have played at the highest level. It's a fresh set of eyes that's going to hopefully blood some young players that'll be looking to play that aggressive football, looking to do whatever the manager's asking. So, yes, it's a tough ask, maybe so early with these 4 games. But on the flip of that, hopefully you can see a lot of development within those 4 games, that maybe by the first game to the 4th game, he sees so many different things that he wants to see as a manager. Maybe having them for that longer block as well, he can work on maybe more analysis in between, because I can't see them doing too many training sessions. Obviously, it's going to be thick and fast straight away. 4 games between I think it's Slovenia away in the first one. So straight in the firing line, got to win games, pressure's going to be ramped up. But I think as long as he sees in this Nations League progress of style of football, shape, and probably looking at a few different players, because that's definitely going to happen. And I think that's the good bit as well. There's probably, it's a small pool to choose from, but there's probably, it gets bigger because there's maybe those that we're never going to get a look in. I think Lennon Miller, he was in and out of it, but he's a top player, top young player. Can he get in amongst it? So there's those that are maybe open up their eyes that they might get a chance and really bed themselves into the first team. So hopefully that's the case. It will be difficult, but as long as there's progress in this Nations League, I think that's the first thing.
And Craig, the point Ryan made earlier, it's not just about the national team, the men's first team, but this, you would hope, is an opportunity for a bit of a reset as to the whole structure and how it works. Obviously, Scott Gemmell's moved on from the 21s. You mentioned Robbie Ewer earlier. You would hope it doesn't take a guy sealing a move to Sevilla to get people noticing him, that these talents are identified a little bit earlier and sort of earmarked and shown a pathway towards the national team. You hope that this, from top to bottom, we're starting to look at a fresh approach to talent identification for Scotland, because we need as much as we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Ryan's absolutely spot on. There seemed to be a lack of, and I don't like using this word because it's very linked in, but there did seem to be a lack of synergy between the men's first team and the under-21s. Scott Gemmell, not to be too critical of the guy, but I'm not sure what his again, to use a LinkedIn term, what his KPIs were. 'Cause it certainly couldn't have been results, because it seemed to be that we would just lose a lot of under-21 games to nations who you would think that we should be competing against. And there didn't seem to be too many players coming through the under-21s into the first team, Finlay Curtis being a good example of that. So that's something you want to see. You want to see a bit more of a link-up between all through the stage, from the under 15s all the way up to the national team, that the players that are coming through that are deemed as future stars are getting the chances to play at their respective levels. So I think that's really important. Craig Mulholland coming in again, what I've heard from him, talks a really good game. I think that degree of freshness was something that we needed. The post World Cup was the right time to do it, and hopefully it pays dividends, because I think that while we were kind of joking about not being able to qualify for the 2028 World Euros, I think when you go beyond that and look at the 2030 World Cup, I think that's a bit of a concern in terms of who are the goalkeepers we're going to be picking from, who are the centre-backs coming through, who are the strikers that we can potentially pick from. These are all problem areas, and you don't really see too many people down the production line that can come up and take these posts. So I think that a lot of these changes will have to be geared up with the next 4 years in mind. So again, I keep on repeating myself, but it's just exciting to see how these guys can step up and maintain this level and kick us on from this level that we've been accustomed to over the last couple of years.
Right, lads, let's talk about the championship. And Ryan, let's start with Dunfermline. Obviously, an extraordinary season last year, get to the Scottish Cup final. Not quite come out firing out the blocks in maybe the way Neil Lennon would have wanted this season. What have you made of them?
Yeah, probably exactly what you're saying. I think probably have Dunfermline up there as one of the favourites for the league, alongside Partick Thistle and Livingston. He spoke about that it just hasn't clicked yet. It's a disappointing result, obviously, in the League Cup as well. That home tie against Ross County, that'll probably be a real blow to them. But he's always spoke about the young players and bedding them in. I think Robinson at the back would be a good signing. He was excellent when he was at St Johnstone previously. I think it'll just be time. No real concerns. They've not hit the ground running this season, but there's no real concerns. I think they'll be well and amongst it when it comes to the end of the season. It'll just be interesting to see how long it'll take before they really get in that fight, because by the time it clicked, they're no longer in title contention, and they're just fighting for the playoffs. And as everyone knows, that it's the hardest way to go up. It's near impossible to go up. The stats show that favours the Premiership side. So they need to hit the ground running if they really want to push Partick Thistle and Livingston for that automatic promotion spot.
Well, Partick Thistle, speaking of them, strong start, Craig. They've obviously been knocking at the door, but they look as if they were right there or thereabouts once again, don't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They were really good against Hibs as well in the League Cup, and perhaps unfortunate not to have got a penalty in that match, which could have completely swung the tide. But I think we all got a good look at Thistle when they played Livingston on the Friday night last week. I thought Thistle were excellent, really, really good, really strong performance, and a really strong performance against one of the sides that you expect to be challenging at the top of the table. I think what was quite ominous, you look through that Thistle starting 11, you think, yeah, that's a really good starting 11. And then they're able to bring off guys like Ben Stanway off the bench, bring off guys like Ewan Henderson off the bench. And you look to that team and there's no obvious weaknesses there. I think that Mark Wilson was probably one of the surprise packages in the SPFL last season. You know, from a coach who had done okay at Airdrieonians and flopped at Brecon City, when he's getting the opportunity to lead a club like Partick Thistle, when there's talk of budget cuts and financial constraints in the background, I thought Thistle were really, really good over the course of the last season. It completely changed my perception of Mark Wilson. Always liked listening to him, always seemed really excited when he would get the chance to talk about tactics and so on. And I think that he's just been able to take all the good stuff they did last season and building it. You know, that 4-3-3 formation really suits them. Strength all the way through the middle of the pitch. really exciting going forward. Like getting a guy like Seb Draws. Seb Draws was like good but inconsistent at Queen's Park. At this early stage, it looks like Wilson's been able to unlock something in him. He was superb against Livingston at the weekend. And I know that Thistle fans don't really, being the favourites doesn't really sit well with them. I think they always like to see themselves as underdogs. I'd have them as favourites for the title. Really liked what I've seen from them so far.
Yeah, exciting times for Partick Thistle. The same cannot be said, Ryan, at Greenock Morton, both on and off the pitch. Seems to be real concerns on the financial front off the pitch. On the pitch, they've made a pretty dreadful start. They're yet to score a goal in any match this season. How concerned are you for Greenock Morton this season?
I can't believe you're coming out with all these stats just before we play them this weekend. That's the main part.
And I'm going along to that game, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, difficult times for Morton, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is difficult times. It's not. I'm just thinking of when I was in my career. I think when things aren't well behind the scenes, whether you like it or not, it seeps through and it affects everything on the pitch as well. I was at Oldham and it just wasn't right at the top. Money issues, and whether you like it or not, people aren't happy around the club, and it definitely affects on-field things, which it shouldn't, but it does. And it seems to be at Morton, it all isn't well. And on the back of that, your top players, Harry Cochrane and Ian Wilson, coming off injured in games, it doesn't bode well. They don't have strength and depth at the moment yet. Having to play a lot of, I say, youngsters, kids, and that's not fair on the managers or the squaddy players. It's good that they're maybe getting opportunities, but sometimes it needs to be at the right time. So it all isn't well. It's early in the season. Hopefully they can get things together, but hopefully not this weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah, they'll be pinning this podcast in the dressing room wall, Ryan, before the game on Saturday. No, looking forward to getting along and seeing that one. Should we talk about Stenhousemuir, Craig?
Oh, finally. Should have started the podcast.
Exciting times at the moment.
Aye. It's brilliant. The result against Motherwell at the weekend, beating them 1-0 in the League Cup. It's one of the best results I've ever seen from the club. You know, Motherwell, pound for pound, a lot of people think they're the best football team in Scotland, but Stenhousemuir went toe-to-toe with them, were the better team, created more chances that within them, had more of the game, and scored a really good goal through Ewan O'Reilly right at the very end. So it's all going very, very well. You know, Marvin Bartley's come in. I think he's inherited a lot of good players from Gary Naismith and a good culture. Naismith really changed the culture within Stenhousemuir. Marvin Bartley's just really taken that baton and running with it. So he's brought in a number of all young, hungry players, a lot of them who have just left full-time football, maybe looking to get back to that level. And he has come up with a system. It's like a 3-6-1 formation, very compact, a lot of legs, a lot of energy in the middle of the park. And it took a wee bit of time for the players to come to grips with it. But we're really seeing it pay dividends. You know, a really strong start to the season. A 1-1 draw at Starks Park against Wraith Rovers, followed up by beating Morton 2-0. Queen's Park at the weekend. If Stenhousemuir can get a result there, that puts them in a really good space above Morton, above Queen's Park, the teams who you're expecting them to be challenging down to avoid relegation with. So very early days. And as Marvin said in his post-match interview in the Motherwell game, we haven't achieved anything yet. So, you know, you enjoy the wins, but it's straight on to the next one. And I think his sort of neither up nor down attitude that he's shown so far, I think that's what we'll need, not to get too carried away when things are going well, because let's be honest, it's a long, hard season. It's going to be a long, hard season. There will be speed bumps in the road, but as first impressions go, Marvin Bartley's, I've really, really liked what I've seen from him. There's I could go here eulogising a lot of the young players that he's brought into the club, but really, really impressive stuff so far. And you can see the players have really bought into what he's looking to do. And the scenes at the end when Ewan O'Reilly scored that winning goal against Motherwell, the bench emptying and everyone coming to celebrate with him. The team looks like it's in a really good place. And I think that result have done wonders for the dressing room and for the confidence for everyone going into the weekend's game. So it's brilliant. If you thought the last 3 years have been amazing, they've got to stop at some point. Not right now anyway. Not right now. It's magic at the moment.
Let's talk about Leagues 1 and 2. We touched on Ross County earlier, Ryan, but that was a great victory over Dunfermline. By all accounts, it could have been maybe more comfortable after such a difficult couple of years. Do you feel like they're just starting to turn this tanker around finally?
it's a little bit talking about changing in culture. That's probably what the biggest thing that must have happened up there over the summer. And I feel signing Brian Graham has probably been a massive part of changing the culture, the work rate, the quality, just everything about it that it takes to be a professional to win at this level. He's got that in abundance. And it's now clicking. There's still players within that dressing room that had those hard times and went through those difficult games and got relegated in the end. But I think they're ready to bounce back, and obviously at the weekend, going away to Dunfermline, winning 2-1, and not just being a snatch and grab is massive credit to them. And when it comes to the league, I mean, I don't think the league's going to be as easy as everyone thinks, but they'll definitely be up there. And I think massive credit to Kettlewell, to the way he's turned it around. It's been phenomenal to see. I think it was just the way they went down to then start the season so well. So credit to Kettlewell, and they'll be up there, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've talked about a few clubs that have had it tough in recent times, Craig. I don't know if anyone's had it tougher than Hamilton Accies after what they've been through the past few seasons, but things looking a little bit brighter on the pitch at least.
I think every time that over the last 2 seasons we've been on this podcast talking about Hamilton Academical, you've been spending more time talking about the stuff that's going on off the park rather than the stuff that's going on the park. So it really feels good to actually just talk about them as a football team rather than anything else. And they've had a smashing start to the season. Really, really impressive. The win at the weekend there, the 4-0 win over Airdrieonians. That's huge. I mean, it's not just the fact it's a derby, but the fact that Airdrie will be a team that can see themselves as challenging for promotion. Maybe not to the same extent that Hamilton, but it's one of the better teams in the division, and Hamilton really took them to the cleaners. Kel McDonald scored one of the goals of the season, contender in the match. He beats, I think it's Gavin Gallagher, he beats him with a Cruyff turn to get away from him before dinking the ball over the goalkeeper and into the net. It's a stunning goal, absolutely stunning goal. And just listen to him.
Craig, have you heard it was Adrian's commentary for that goal?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I was watching the highlights for it last night. Yeah, just extraordinary. It's great listening to him talk about it, and kind of similar to what we were saying about Marvin Bartley with Darian McKinnon. Your team you've won 5-0 against Montrose. You've beaten Airdrieonians 4-0, two of the supposedly better sides in the division. And he's just seems completely indifferent to it. He's not getting carried away about the start of the season. He knows it's going to be a difficult campaign. He knows that Ross County are a good side, and the two teams are going to be pushing each other all the way over the course of the season. But it feels like Hamilton, I say they're in a good place. They are literally in a good place. They are back in Hamilton after spending that year at Broadwood. So it really feels like the club are in a good direction. And seeing the scenes at full time with the supporters, getting the chance to just celebrate in their home, watching their players get a big win, it's great to see. And I really do think that Hamilton can go on and enjoy themselves and be certainly challenge for the title.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how that title race shapes up in League One. What about League Two, Ryan? That looks like it could also be quite an open race for the title this season.
Yeah, well, I think in the back of that, I think League One the way it's shaping up, I feel like that's sort of shaping up already with the teams at the top and teams at the bottom. League Two, I don't really know how it's going to go so far. I mean, Elgin have started outstandingly well. I thought that the Spartans would have probably started better and maybe seen it, because East Kilbride were excellent last year and really deserved that. And then to win, sometimes teams lose the league, I feel like, at the end, but I feel like East Kilbride really dominated and won that league last year. I feel like the Spartans could have really seen it this year, that this is our year that we're going to go up from League Two into League One. They look a little bit fragile defensively, shipping some soft goals. So I think at this stage of the season, to really highlight a team that I think will win the league will be difficult at this stage. I think it was an important win for Clyde. It was a late victory there. That I think they could possibly be up there, but I can't really see who's going to be the one. There's definitely not going to be I can't see a runaway winner this season. It'll be nip and tuck throughout the whole season. I'll probably be those ones at the bottom of the league that'll be. I'm worried for maybe Annan now with losing Muirhead for probably 3 months, and they got a massive victory against Stranraer without Keith Watson and him at the back. Defensively, you need to be solid in any league to be successful, and shipping goals is definitely not the way forward. So Forfar have started well, Elgin have started well, but I'd like to see more from the Spartans, and I think they've got a massive game this weekend against, I think they're at home to Elgin. So already at the start of the season, big games, and that's probably one that I'll be circling this weekend and looking for the result.
Well, Craig, we can't possibly discuss League Two without you pitching in on Edinburgh City. Every week last season, Edinburgh are coming, Edinburgh City are coming. Didn't quite happen. So where are we with Edinburgh City at the moment?
Winners, Craig.
Listen, we all say things, we all say things. Not everything's going to, not every prediction you're going to make is going to come true. But yeah, I mean, Edinburgh City started the season with a 5-point deduction following the insolvency event from last season. Yeah, I do. I thought Edinburgh, watched the highlights from their game against Dumbarton, and yeah, some of Dumbarton's defending for all 3 goals really left a lot to be desired. But this was Edinburgh looking really, really slick. They've lost some players like Malik Zaid, who was just such a fulcrum of that attack. But Innes Lawson looks like he hasn't lost a beat. The Leach brothers coming in, Jack and Robbie, just really good lower league players, Jack Leach especially. I just was really impressed with them, and it looked as though we're seeing back to what Edinburgh City looked like in the 24-25 season. So I will always advocate for a Michael McIndoe team, and I think that they're my favourites to win the title, 100%.
Love the faith, lads. It's been a pleasure. That's all we've got time for. Many thanks to Ryan and Craig, and thanks to you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so make sure you don't miss out. Subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. But for now, from Ryan, from Craig and from me, thanks for listening.
It's petty, it's ill-informed.
Are President Trump's cuts having an adverse effect on research?
It's pandemonium.
What number's that in the periodic table?
PD, number 47. I don't know.
I've done the shooting clays before. The longer you do it, the sorter obviously it gets.
When Craig said there he'd been shooting the clays, I imagined him out a back line. Somebody's washing,
William Shatner, his secretary, contacted me to say, when Bill has a question now and again, can he contact you? And then one time he called me up and he wanted to know, David, what is a photon? I'm thinking, this is incredible. Captain Kirk wants to know what a photon is,
I once met a guy who referred to a globe as a ball map. A ball map.
Look at the ball map.
What we normally do is spin the ball map and we see where we go on holiday.
The Off the Ball podcast, available every Monday on BBC Sounds.